Usman has built what is probably the #1 sales management education business in the online space. He's had 16 years in sales, started as an appointment setter at 18, ended up as a sales director, got blackmailed by his boss, and then built a company out of spite. Every time we sit in a room together, we end up going deep on stuff no one actually talks about in this space. In this episode, you're going to get why close rate is the metric you should look at least, the difference between a sales manager and a sales trainer, and why most people confuse them, what a great sales manager's day actually looks like hour by hour, and the one structural shift that took us from 200k to 2 million a month in 7 months. Why your close rate is the least important metric in your sales team, why hiring a sales manager is the biggest mistake founders make if they do it wrong, and the real reason your ROAS is suffering that has nothing to do with your ads. If you're managing your own sales team right now, or you've just hired someone to do it, this one is basically us talking to ourselves 2 years ago, so enjoy. Usman, thanks for being here, man.
Of course.
We've known each other a little while now in the high ticket space, and every time we talk for hours about sales and scaling, and so we figured it would be a good time to just do a podcast while we're both in Marbella. So glad to have you. If you want to introduce yourself, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, I'm Usman. I'm founder of a company called Guided Growth, and we do sales consulting, training. We're really known for sales management. I'd probably say we have the #1 sales manager education in probably like all the online space. So I'm very mission driven on building amazing sales leaders. So a lot of our messaging and what we speak about is all about sales teams, sales managing, and systems that will just allow the business to grow without the CEO feeling like they're pulling their hair out.
Nice. Awesome. And so what got you into that in the first place? What's your background?
I started, my first job was at a restaurant, but after that it was as an appointment setter in a call center. So I worked for selling HomeServe, which was like a British insurance company. And then I worked selling gas and electric as well on the phones. So my first job started as an appointment setter. And then from the age of like 18 to like 24, I just jumped to like 15, 16 jobs, kept trying my own businesses, kept trying jobs. So I just tried so many different things up until I found one career-long job. I did that for around 6 years up until I became a sales director. Then I opened my own business after lockdown. So I had like the natural arc of starting right at the bottom as a setter, all the way up until about 16 years, now running a consulting business and continuously growing a mission-driven business.
Wow, so you were a sales director that was a corporate style company, right?
Yeah.
And so just real quick, like what's the difference, or what differences do you see between like sales directing in a corporate company like that and like the high ticket modern space that we know?
In short, you can tell someone in high ticket, hey, you're doing bad, you're going home today.
Yeah.
And in corporate, there's so much rules, there's so much HR, you can't just fire someone. There's so much, like everyone knows that they are protected by HR rules, which means they can get away with murder and they can hide and they have all this bureaucracy. And like my last experience in the corporate environment was actually getting blackmailed by a sales director. That was my last experience. So it's just a very different environment, and the high ticket space is just so cutthroat. Any business that's an SMB style business, it's just such a faster churn of team members.
You got blackmailed by your sales director.
Yeah, that happened.
Talk me through that.
Okay, so I had just built this gym up. So I was known as the fixer. So what I would do is Virgin Active would have different gyms, and there'd be a sales team of from 3 to 7 people in each gym. There's probably 400 people over across 129 gyms. So I went to one gym, would fix it, and then I would be asked to help another gym. So I would fix the sales team. This is going back to 2018. Then the sales director asked me, hey, I want you to go to this team here. I was in Swiss Cottage in London. And I knew if I go there, I'm not going to make any money for about 6 months. So I've gone from getting my pay up to 5-6K a month. And now it's going to go back down to 2K because all my commissions is gone because then I have to rebuild a team. I said, hey, I don't really fancy going and moving. I'd rather just stay here because I built this team. He said, and it wasn't my job, by the way. My job was stationed at this one place. And he said to me, if you don't go, I'm not going to probably consider you for this promotion that's going to come up, and you're not going to get the sales director job. So if you don't move, which meant you got to pack up your life, got to move, it was a big headache. So then I remember the date, it was the 9th of March 2020 that happened. On the 10th of March, it was lockdown. So now I was kind of like, I got away with it because lockdown came, so we had to go home, and I got given furlough, and I remember getting furlough pay for 6 months. So, and then I came back to work to then recover the gyms, and everyone had forgotten about, because now every gym is doing bad, so you just were in recovery mode. But then I still had it in for that director, because I was like, he tried to blackmail me, I don't want to be here anymore. So that's when I jumped to be became a sales director at another company. This business was doing around 10 million. So I moved, and I just remember the feeling of this sales director blackmailing me and feeling as though I have no control over my life. Feeling like, I remember telling the general manager of the gym, who does this person think he is that he can control what I'm doing in my career? And it was like the worst feeling. I remember feeling like I don't even have any control of my money, what I do, what I earn. And I think that's what really got me driven to become an entrepreneur, because I had already tried to open my own businesses before in my 20s and I failed. But this time I had a good enough reason. And then I became really driven on building great sales leaders. So because I was blackmailed by the sales director and he was supposed to be leading all these salespeople, my business was kind of born. And I remember doing the mission statement for my business begrudgingly, thinking we're going to build amazing sales leaders because of the experience that I had. Because every time I had progressed, it was because of a good leader. And every time I didn't progress, it was because no one was there to progress me, or someone was oppressing me in my job. So I just knew the type of businesses I wanted to build and the people I wanted to help. And I think that's what really established my company in being known for sales management.
Yeah, wow. It's always fascinated me how just like the difference in mentality and like the corporate side versus like the, you know, entrepreneur and the high ticket side as we know it, right? And like you say, I guess it's just because you can get away with murder. You can hide behind all these rules and these laws and whatever. And yeah, for me, I just couldn't be in a business like that. It would drive me crazy, man. But it worked out for the best for you, clearly. So
yeah.
When you went to high ticket sales then, did you high ticket close yourself or did you go straight into management or straight into consulting?
I opened my own business and I started closing for my own business. So I had to learn high ticket closing for my own offer.
Got it.
So the first time, so I went from relationship-based sales, which is gym sales, to transactional sales, which is just one time people come onto a call just to get the outcome. They don't really care about you as much. So then I had to relearn high ticket sales, but I'd already had, let's say 10, 12 years of sales experience. And when I was doing the setting job, when I was 18, that was very much similar to high ticket. When I was selling coffee machines door to door, that was similar to high ticket. So there was things I had done over the previous decade that were similar, but the format just had to change. So I remember actually the first sales trainer I came across was Cole's training, and I did his training. I was like blown away on how methodical and how specific it was on how to do the call, and I was like, okay, I get it. And then I think I saw his framework, then I saw Hormozi's closer framework. And I think I just never used anybody else's. I just stuck to one thing. I think everyone else is always wondering which methodology is the best. I think it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I think it's all the same.
It's all the same, just worded a bit differently.
Yeah.
I think whichever one you end up with first is typically the one you just end up staying with.
Yeah. I've read all the books, gap selling, spin selling. I've done all the enterprise ones. I've done literally every style, and it's all the same.
Yeah, got it. Okay, cool. And so now your offer is, so you help sales managers become better managers or salespeople become sales managers?
Yeah, so it's mainly companies that bring us in, and usually it's the founder who's managing the sales team who wants to be pulled out of the sales team. So they're the one directly managing the reps, or they have a sales manager or their closer, they want to level them up. And then at times they'll say, my closer's not good enough to be a sales manager. Can you find us a sales manager? So I probably have the biggest network of sales managers in our recruitment network. So we'll be able to place sales managers and then ramp them up in the business.
Got it. And so if you're going after those companies that where they need a sales manager, I'm assuming they have like 100 to 500K a month kind of range when they come to you?
Yeah, I would say depending on their ticket size, and then obviously if it's like a 20K offer, they need way less units and volume, so it's a bit more. But on average, it's about 150K.
Okay.
So when they're around 150K, we'll say the founder needs to be out. So I normally say the founder should stop closing around 80K. The founder should be out of sales management around 150. And of course, if you sell a 30K offer and you just need 10 units a month with one closer, you don't really need to get a sales manager yet. So you can get to 300K in that way, but then usually it's about 150.
Yeah, okay. So what's the biggest mistake you see founders making at that 150K range when they're coming to you, like in sales specifically?
Yeah. Do you know how you would hire a closer and say he will write his own script? They hire a manager, I think they will build the system. A sales manager doesn't build a system. It's the CEO that builds the system or consults with a company like ours to build it, and then they put the manager in. So when the day the manager gets there, the biggest misconception is the manager is going to build all of this, orchestrate this entire growth of this company to $1 million a month. That's what they really think.
Interesting.
Usually most sales managers are pretty good at sales training, and it's got nothing to do with sales management. So they're two separate things. They're actually two completely different skills. Being a coach on a sales call and giving someone sales tips is nothing to do with managing a team, looking at data reports, tracking, or anything like that.
Yeah. Yeah, got it, man. Yeah, we were stuck at like, I say stuck, we were doing maybe 200K a month for probably a year or two. And I was very much doing everything myself. So I was doing the sales management, but not even just the sales management. I was doing all the marketing, the operations, like everything.
Yeah.
And it's only when I finally hired a sales manager that we blew up pretty much. But, I'm so grateful that we were stuck at 200K for so long, because it allowed me to just learn the systems and learn the operations and learn the skill itself like so intimately, so that when I brought someone in, like they had a system they could slot right into and we just could scale to the moon.
And I bet at the time you hated being stuck at 200K and you were like, I can't wait to grow. But then you learn only after you grow past it that I deserve to be there.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't even that I hate, it was just like frustration. Like it's almost just burnout, right? Like you have these huge goals and you start questioning, like, because we're a fitness software, right? It's like, is it even worth fitness, or like, is it even worth trying to get to $1 million a month, 2 million a month, 3 million a month? Because most fitness coaches, they get to like 150K, 200K, then they go become business coaches, right? And so my mindset was always, if this is what everyone else is doing, what happens if I just keep going? Like, we can become like one of the top 5 fitness companies. And so that was kind of my mindset at the time. But yeah, I was the bottleneck the entire time. Like I was in the way because like everything, all these like super like important roles were only getting 10% of my attention.
Yeah. Most of the time, it's that if the founder's managing the sales team, he's doing it on the side. So let's say they've got 5 to 10 hours. They'll probably check a few calls. They know they should be checking more. They don't check enough. They don't really look at the tracking enough. They think the tracking is not being done. And they just try to do it because most founders in the high ticket space are very marketing focused. So they'll spend all their time in marketing, which is right because you need to provide the best leads. But then they don't really look at what's happening. ROAS is so much determined by a sales process. If you don't call your leads, if your setter's not calling your leads, your ROAS is hurt. But most marketers don't think of that, and they only realize it after a couple of $100,000 a month.
Yeah. So what are the biggest breakthroughs you typically see businesses get? Where does that come from?
The biggest breakthrough is when a sales manager comes in and then they're able to just be free on the marketing and then spend all their time on marketing, making more ads or making better content, and then the business actually grows. Because they think the thing that's holding them back is or the ads are going to eventually work. I'm going to wait till my ROAS gets good. But if you just pull out of sales and then you spend all of your time on marketing, then you're going to make better ads and your ROAS will be reflective of that. So if you put someone in sales management a lot earlier and hand that over to someone, you will be able to spend the time on marketing, and all the best businesses are great marketers. So you have to be a good marketer to be able to grow. But you can't get good at marketing at the highest level part-time when you're managing sales, managing operations. So I would say in order you bring in a sales manager first, that person gets you to 300, 400, 500K. Then you put in a COO or an operations manager who can run things day to day. And then you're able to just focus on marketing all you want. And you can just go all in. And then that's like, you probably had a similar journey. Like when you handed it over to a sales manager, you thought, I can actually put my focus in all the right areas.
Yeah, exactly. Just to like a nuance with that though, like, because this is a mistake I've made as well, is like you hire for a role and then all of a sudden you think you don't have to worry about that role anymore. But actually the complete opposite is true, right? It's like you are still, if I hire a sales manager, I'm still to a degree managing the sales team. I'm just managing it via the manager, right? I'm QCing the manager's QC and whatnot. So like I made this mistake a lot of times where I'd hire someone, let them get on with it, and then the business is slowly descending into chaos. You're not going to know because they're not going to tell you, right? And then you find out when it's too late. And so how do you find that balance for founders?
I think the first thing is the scorecard for the sales manager. You write that out. You actually estimate what you think the sales manager should be doing, and then you review it in the first quarter. So every time you hire a sales manager, you don't know really what KPIs they should be hitting because you're kind of making them up. Yeah. But then after the Q1, you'll put in the agreement, like we will review your metrics in probation, and then you redo their KPIs after the first 3 months. And then you get them to stick to that scorecard, whatever their responsibilities are, you get them to do it. And anytime you feel as though things are falling through the cracks, this is what I'll do. I'll load up the job description for the sales manager. And let's say I'm the CEO. I'll share the screen and I'll say, let's just color in green and red what you think is happening and what isn't happening. I won't say amber. I'll just say, is it happening or not? So I'll run through the scope of work of all their responsibilities in the contract, and they'll say, are you doing 5 meetings with a team to this level? Is this happening? Is the close rate this? Is this happening? I'll run through the list. And before you know it, you've got many things in red, and that builds up a conversation to say, okay, which ones can we focus on over the next month that can get done? Most people don't know how to manage their sales manager. and they'll see performance slip because they don't know where to look for the performance. But you just need to have KPIs and be able to measure those KPIs.
Yeah.
Everyone fascinates over Claude or a dashboard, but they don't spend enough time with the sales manager to know how to actually manage them, because they're a people-driven person. Their job is to protect their team. Their job is not to just talk about leads all the time.
Yeah.
And that's where the big mistake is, where they manage sales managers.
Yeah, for me, the big unlock was starting to transitioning basically from managing tasks and responsibilities, which is really what you're doing on the front lines or when you're a manager, to then you're just managing outcomes as opposed to tasks. And it's like, was this outcome hit? Yes or no? Yeah, and for me, that just gave so much clarity. And, you know, because when you're managing tasks across like 5 different departments, across 10 different people in each, right, it's just fucking chaos. And so like if I just have a metric that I know, like everyone's almost a CEO of their own metric, then it's something that you can basically just manage the outcome and make your life so much easier.
Yeah, 100%. And I think if there is one metric for sales, you don't want to look at close rate. I think the big misconception is close rate is important. I don't think close rate is as important as people think. Because the reason why most of the industry focuses on close rate is because that's all they know. They just know sales training. But if I move your show rate up by 5% and your close rate up by 5%, the close rate is going to take me months to move up to be training and doing all these drills. But I can just change one automation or look at your flow and move your show rate up, or add another set to double the call volume on outbound. So close rate is the number one metric that you should look at last. It's the bottom of the funnel.
Furthest down the funnel, yeah. I mean, for us, like the biggest metric for us on the closer side is revenue per scheduled call, because this metric is going to take into account show rate, it's going to take into account close rate, and we know if the revenue per scheduled call is good, everything else kind of becomes irrelevant. It's like, I don't care if your closer it's only 17% because your show is 95%, right, and your revenue per scheduled call is still above everyone else.
Yeah,
and
so it's have a leaderboard for it.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, so it's like, for me, it's like, what's one metric that if hit, everything else becomes irrelevant, and we kind of just focus on that. And even like a CAC to LTV per rep is so important to track, and most people don't track this, right? But like every single rep should have their own CAC to LTV, so you can actually see where your spend should be going, because every sales rep to a degree is kind of just like a cash machine. And it's like, if I put $1 into this rep, I'm going to get a 5 return, or $1 into this rep, and I get a 2
How
return.
are you tracking your CAC to LTV per rep? How do you pull those metrics?
Yeah, so you basically take your cost per scheduled call, and then you times that by the amount of calls they have in their calendar. And then you divide that by the amount of closes they get, and that will give you your CPA per rep.
And do you get the sales manager in your business to look at it, or the sales director? Who's looking at that information?
So we have a VA, like a kind of like a sales operations person that does all the tracking side. I've kind of just learned to just like not make sales managers do tracking. Like you need to have someone else that does that. So we have someone else that puts together all the reporting, but we can see like per rep in like whatever time frame we want, the CAC to LTV, the revenue per schedule call, revenue per live call. These are all such like important metrics. Like these are going to give you the most holistic view possible, right? Because like you say, like everyone gets stuck in the trap of like just fixating on close rate. But it's like, man, like, there's so much other stuff top of funnel that you could change and get way faster improvements in your team.
Close rate is actually one of the most, I'd say it's the least important number in sales. And most people look at it the first.
Yeah.
Like just knowing, like one of the most important numbers is actually, if you look at how many leads you get last month to how many dials you make, if you're making less than 10 dials per customer, so your average touch density is less than 10, you're just not dialing enough. So if you focus on close rate, just dialing more, having another setter will just get you more sales.
Interesting. So do you have your salespeople dialing when like during no shows, things like this?
Right. The high ticket closes are absolutely spoiled. So
don't get me started, man.
So they should be dialing. So it's very easy to say, hey, as soon as there's a bad show rate, because when you look at businesses with a 30, 40, 50% show rate, which most of the industry has got, the reason why they're not doing good is not because their show rate is bad. That's one reason. But it's because they've not built the culture. When the show rate is down, the leads are being called by the closers actually working. Yeah. So they just create a culture of just closers just sitting and waiting. But that culture comes from the high ticket space and how they actually sold into the high ticket space, which is, hey, you just sit on calls. So their sales trainer will sell them into the program that way. But that's a structural industry issue. But I would just say how closers, the best closers, half of their calls are closing the follow-up. So when you look at the top closers in any organization, you'll see that their close rate might be the best. But if you look at where their sales have come from, it's come from them pursuing the deals after the call. It's not that people think everyone's got a one-time close. But all the best closers are just relentless on WhatsApp or relentless on text, email. They just close everyone down.
I've got some salespeople for big companies that have been following up with me every week for like over a year. And I'm like, man, I need my team to be like this. But it's not even just follow-ups. It's just being more proactive in general. Like 99% of salespeople are just way too fucking passive. And like, you cannot be passive in this game. Like, you cannot blame the fact you didn't hit your projections or your numbers because you didn't have enough calls in your calendar, right? Like, there is, like, I say to my team, there's 300, 400,000 fucking leads in this database. Like, there's nothing you can say that will convince me that you cannot go out and find 30 grand this week.
Exactly.
Right. And it's like calendars are light, like leads are a bit down this week, whatever. Like, that is not a reason to not hit your numbers. Like, there is so much you can be doing. And like, I see examples of this all the time. We had someone last week who almost missed his projections. It was like a Sunday night and he called someone up from a webinar like the week before and he closed it on the spot and he hit his projections. But like, most people just don't think to do that. They think that not hitting their numbers is justified by the state of their calendar or the state of the leads right now. And it's just not true. Like, they're just being too passive.
Yeah. In our onboarding now, for every company that we work with, we build an onboarding for a sales rep and they get to watch intro video. So we get every company to make an intro video and we say, this organization, you do not just sit and wait for calls, you dial anytime you're available. And it's like, if you're on the working hours of like, let's say 10 till 6 or whatever the hours are, you're either dialing or you're calling. Because yeah, you're here as a closer to just sit on the calendar. But if 3 people haven't shown up, what would you do? And then we'll do a questionnaire before they start the job to ask them about the training. And they'll say, 3 calls haven't shown up today and you've not got any activity on your calls. What would you do? Dial my old leads or sit and wait for the calendar?
Yeah.
So you can create questions and do competency tests to be able to get the right people in.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, the best closers, like, they create opportunity. They don't just simply capture the opportunity given to them.
Yeah.
All right. But yeah, time to ramp. So like, when you see closers come into offers, like, what do you see is the average time to ramp, time to get into KPI? And like, what do you implement to get them there as efficiently and effectively as possible?
Yeah, so we do like the gamified ramp up where we split onboarding into 4 sections, where it's onboarding your logins, so Google login, Zoom login, all the logins. And then you have training split in 2 sections. Product training and sales training, and then you have production, which is like what have you actually produced in the month? What is it? How many calls have you done? How many closes? So in your first 4 weeks, you have 4 sections of onboarding, and it's all gamified. So all of these line items have points towards them, and when you start, we'll just say to you, "Hey, you got to get 300 points in your first month," and you work through the onboarding and you mark it as done on the Google Sheet. It's just a simple system because you're able to see in the first week, oh, he's actually ramping pretty quick, or this person's ramping slow. If you only look at close rate, because every single person progresses differently in each offer. So if I go from a B2B to another B2B offer, it might take me a few weeks to get used to it. So my close rate needs about 35, 40 calls before it gets to where it needs to be. Some people just learn a bit slower, but that doesn't mean they're bad. You don't fire people because they learn slow. You fire people based on effort. Because if someone is learning slow, you find out better ways to teach them. So the gamified onboarding kind of fixes that because we can build out a standardized way to be able to train everyone and onboard them. It's actually from door to door. When you hire 200 people on door-to-door sales, you'll have a gamified system, and that's where it comes from.
Yeah, okay. One thing we implemented, which was really a game changer for us, is systemizing the learning process. So like, for every section of the training process, so for example, like company mission, vision, values, the USP versus like our avatar, like all these different modules, whatever, we'll have a quiz that must be passed 100% before they get access to the next one. And so like, then the final pieces they get, they have to close 5 deals on an AI role play thing. Yeah. And so like, we know by the time they even get to being able to take a live call, not only do they know everything they need to know about the company to succeed, but they've closed 5 deals on a thing that we set up. And so they're not just going on blind, and like, it saves us a lot of money and like leads.
Yeah, of course. Each closer, it must cost you like thousands just to hire one.
Yeah.
Have you worked out your cost per closer? Like, what does it cost you if the closer fails? So if one closer fails, what does it cost you as a business?
Yeah, I mean, not specifically, but like, we know like how much it costs us to put a call on the calendar and how many calls would have been closed if they're with a top closer versus a new closer. So like, yeah, to an extent, yeah.
So if it isn't costing you $100 to get a call, and you need 50 calls to be able to work out if someone's decent or not.
Yeah.
Very quickly, you can work out if this person's trash or not.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. And then taking one step back into the hiring process, what are you looking for when you bring closers into offers?
So first test is like culture. It's the same process that you might have like known in a high ticket industry. It actually comes from like the process where I learned was industry HubSpot's book. Have you read Sales Team Accelerator?
Yeah.
So the process that they also recommended was always culture test and skill test. And now because I think you should change the hiring process. We've actually tweaked it internally. It used to always be culture test, skill test, but now the initial vetting, which is the Loom video, and then most people will bullshit. So you've got to be able to have a better process internally to get references. So we have literally hundreds of applicants come into our CRM for recruitment every single week. And we will just have a better process now for vetting them from their Loom videos, from their references, because we can quickly work out, the recruiters know who's who, like how many people have put moves method on their resume. We can work out, right, is this bullshit or not? And if it's someone for a high level role, like when replacing a closer, some businesses need an A-tier closer where they want to get a closer that's making 30, 40, 50K a month. These closers, we can get references very quickly by messaging the CEO of that business or messaging the sales manager and saying, hey, is this a legit reference? So just relationships, adding that process in, which is referencing, and then doing the culture interview, doing the skill interview. And then the last stage is also before we hire, we'll ask all of our CEOs to sit on it for one day. Most people, what they do is just offer the job there and then. We'll ask everyone to sit on it for one day and just wait. Because usually if you just meet more candidates, you'll end up finding someone better.
Yeah. The issue is these days is like in all these high ticket sales masterminds, they tell you exactly what to say in interviews. And I know this to be true because everyone says the same thing when they reach out to get a job, right? It's like everyone's being told exactly what to say. And so it's very hard to identify like who is actually good based on an interview. And so the way we, like one of the most important things we do throughout the interview process between the group interview and the one-to-one interviews, they have to send us 2-3 call recordings because you can like BS us all day in a group interview. But like if we listen to a call, you can't fake a good discovery or whatever. Like we can tell if you know what you're talking about. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is a must-have now for us is the personality test. So we run this test. I can't remember what it's called. It's like the ENT.
ENTJ. I think I'm ENTJ.
Yeah, so we notice that there's a trend amongst all our top closers and there's a trend amongst all the bottom closers. Like
do you know what personality type they are? They're usually like a commander or a leader type of role.
Yeah, so the two things that they all have in common is they're assertive, they're the most assertive, and they're also the most emotionally stable.
Yeah.
Which is like, you know, is kind of obvious when you think about it, right? Because like there's so many emotionally unstable closers to where like if they have a bad stack of calls, like they just like one day they'll be up, one day they'll be down, like constantly up and down. Like the best closers are stoic. They're able to go into every single call with like fresh energy and not project from the previous call.
Yeah, and this is why a lot of the times, you know, on Instagram, when you see closers being extremely like, when they put themselves out there and they say, I was this closer and their marketing is great, usually a great marketer was never a good closer.
Yeah,
because their personality is so different. Like people have said to me, like I'm pretty good at marketing, but I don't think I am. I think my sales skills are so high, which in some ways, because I'm quite level-headed, I'm quite calm, I'm quite like in one way quite gentle in how I speak. It actually isn't the same type of way you should speak to get your marketing to grow. Isn't this for content to really blow up? So it's actually completely different traits. But closers who are very stable, that's a big trait. That's a very big trait.
100%.
Being calm and being collected.
Yeah. Day to day as a sales manager, what should that look like?
So the first thing that you should be doing is looking at the data from the previous day, looking at all the end of day reports. Then as soon as you look at the end of day reports, before you run your team meeting, you should already know everything what happened the previous day. First mistake is usually showing up to the morning meeting, not knowing what happened the previous day. So just doing that extra 30, 45 minutes of QC before. The best sales managers start an hour before the meeting because they will look at what happened that day in detail and pulse check the CRM and make sure they have a full hot list and they know they know the answers to all the questions they're going to ask before in the meeting. So if someone wasn't followed up or so the notes weren't left in the CRM, they already know about it. Then they'll run the meeting. They'll run an incredible meeting where it's all about wins and then it'll go into the team and then go into some sort of training for that day and then building out their hot list and getting commitments from them. Then on the day, they start the day with looking at some sort of quality control or some sort of support for each one rep. So every day there should be some sort of support mechanism for one team member. And then if they've done the QC on a normal day, around 3 p.m. we get them to a CRM pulse check where they go through the CRM and they check on the deals. And a great sales manager is not afraid to just, if someone's just come off the call, they're not afraid to just call them and say what happened there. Could you have closed it? Let's call them back. Let's try to win them or let's try to win back that deal. The sales manager should be getting so much more revenue over the line. So in between their pulse checks, which is a beginning of day, middle of day, and end of day, they're just continuously supporting the team. They're just around them all the time like a team captain. Yeah. And then towards the end of the day, they're just going through all the reports. All the best sales managers finish after all the EODs come in. So your sales manager's EOD should be after everybody else's EOD because they've called each team member and said, hey, I saw this in your EOD. It was a bit of a red flag. Just thought I'd call you and talk about it. They don't leave things to the next day. They don't let tension build. Everything is always handled straight away. It's all direct. It's all caring. It's all like great leadership happens when you handle things there and then. So the day of a sales manager is pretty much meetings, checking, QC, and tracking and reporting. Most sales managers that like you said, aren't good at tracking, but I do think to be a competent sales manager, you have to be good at tracking. The sales managers that are never good at tracking, they just stay as sales managers. They're more sales trainers. But the sales managers that are great at tracking and data and numbers, they end up becoming great sales directors, great VP of sales.
Yeah.
So when we're developing sales managers, we'll always say you can either stay as a sales trainer, or if you want to be a good sales manager or a great sales leader, maybe even a CEO one day, you've got to be able to learn data.
Yeah, I mean, at bare minimum, they need to know how to read it, right? Like, it's one of the first things I teach my sales managers. Like, here's how you read the numbers. Here's how you identify what is the biggest constraint. Don't try and fix multiple things at once. You need to, here's how you identify what the biggest constraint is. And in turn, here's how you should be spending your time.
Yeah, it's really funny you say that. We have a sandbox mode for sales managers. So, like, this is not something that I'm promoting right now, but last year in Q4, we did a promotion for closers that want to become sales managers. All of our companies, we needed more sales managers. So we took on around 15 closers that want to become sales managers. We put them through 12 weeks of training. We created a sandbox of different constraints. And every single week they would have a puzzle, like a chess puzzle that you do every day, where you say, here's the constraint in this business. You need to figure it out. And they would make a Loom video and say, this is what we did. This is how we figured it out. And then what you'd find is you've built great sales managers because they could look at data properly.
Yeah. Yeah, got it. Yeah, and completely agree. Like, whenever you're asking a closer for why they've missed numbers, like, you should always know the number beforehand, right? Like, you're not asking to find out. You're asking to check their awareness and have a pulse on how aware are they. And this is how you develop people as well. And definitely on team meetings, one thing I used to find is I always want to have listened to the call I'm going to QC on the meeting before the meeting, because like otherwise, like, you QC a call, whichever call you're QCing, the closer's saying all kind of random shit. New closers hear this, they now think it's okay, unless you just stop at every little last piece. And then before you know it, everyone's just in the Wild West.
Yeah, and now with AI, you can just QC every one of your sales calls. It's just like you can find out specific quotes. If you have the good rubric built behind your AI, you know exactly what's happening. So I think a sales manager can listen to less calls, but they should still be listening to calls, because you can't listen to tonality and pausing and framing as much on AI. But the AI saves sales managers so much time. So this is why sales managers have to be better at data now, because they're managing more data. An AI-led sales manager is an expert with data and tracking.
Yeah, we actually built an AI system that allowed us to take our team from 5 sales managers down to 2 sales managers in the space for, like, it saved us like tens and tens of thousands a month in salaries. And that, like you said, like, it's just a QC. Like, his QC is like the majority of a good sales manager's time. And so, like, this will just basically analyze every single call based on the rubrics. It will send the feedback to the closer in real time straight after the call. And then the second layer is if the closer doesn't implement the feedback for another 2 to 3 calls, it then notifies the manager. So now the manager's only notified or aware of the people who are not implementing, as opposed to the people who aren't doing what they need to be doing.
Yeah, and as long as in that, when they're notified, remember, AI will point things out but can't coach you. So a lot of people think AI has now pointed this out, now I can fix it. Because we work with so many companies and they'll say to us, we don't really need as much QC because the AI is telling us, well, if this AI points out what your deficiency is, how do you get someone better on that deficiency? If you just point it out, if I keep telling you, hey, every time you shoot the football, it's not good, I eventually have to come and adjust you and show you how to do it. So there's a point of just making sure once it's spotted, if they don't self-correct, you can coach them the right way.
Yeah, I basically sat down for, probably around a month. And like, I really analyzed in my mind, like, when I give a rep feedback, like, what are all the nuances and what are the frameworks I go through in my head? Because like, how you give feedback to one person is going to be different to how you give feedback to another person. Like, there's nuances. And then also, like, if there's 3 or 4 pieces of feedback, how do you know which one piece to give them? Because you don't only just give them 3 to 4 pieces to work on, right? And so I basically built out, it ended up being like a 9, 10, 11 page document that completely breaks down how to give feedback. And so like the QC bot that we have, it gives the reps feedback in real time. And when we rolled it out, we basically would QC, it would go into a group chat, not to a one-to-one chat in Slack. So we'd be able to QC the QC that it's giving. And after like 3 to 4 weeks, we had it like almost immaculate.
Yeah, when we've hired sales managers that come from fitness background, it's like personal training, they're great at coaching, because if you coach someone how to squat, you don't give them 5 tips at once, you'll give them 1. You'll say, hey, on this squat, just keep your knees out.
Yeah.
And then you'll find that that's the same way you coach someone in any sport, in anything that you show them, to give them 1 thing. If you give 3 things, they can't do any of them.
Yeah, it's just knowing how to give cues, right? Yeah. Just changing how you think about something to, make you change the way you do it. Awesome, man. In terms of, so going from sales manager to sales director, What does that jump look like? What's the skill differentiation there?
First thing is the high ticket space is known to overtitle people. So it's a big gripe of mine where I go into a business doing 100K a month and they've got a sales director. I don't know why it really bothers me.
Yeah.
But the big difference is a sales director is looking at what needs to be built strategically, where a sales manager is just handling what's there today. Same, no difference to an operations manager to a COO. A sales director is looking at, maybe I can open another channel. Maybe I can hire a partnerships person under me. And they're working with marketing a lot closer. Their marketing knowledge is actually a lot stronger than most people think. They understand cost of acquisition. They understand leads. They understand the economics of marketing deeply, and they know how it's affecting sales. And also, they know all the things around QC. They know how to manage sales ops. They know how to manage all these different departments, but they also may manage multiple channels of acquisition. So they may have more of an inbound sales team. They may also manage an outbound sales team. They may also manage partnerships and affiliates. So a sales director knows how to manage multiple sales teams, not just one. If you're a sales manager and you can manage an inbound sales team, you're not ready for a sales director, because a sales director can oversee many different channels and many different acquisition sources.
Yeah. One of the biggest challenges I see managers have when they go from like closer to closer manager to closer director is the shift in what side you're on, right? Because when you're a closer, you're very much on the side of closers. By the time you're a sales director, you need to be very much on the side of the company, which, you're going to do things slightly differently when you think that way than when you're on the side of a closer, right? Because everyone wants what's best for their specific department, whatever's going to make their job easier. Like closers aren't going to want a certain type of lead coming in, when in actual fact, it's more beneficial for the business when we do send that lead to closers, right? Yeah. And so I found that people struggle like getting out of that mindset of like wanting to make the closer's life as easy as possible to like what's actually going to be more profitable, what's actually going to drive more revenue for the business, even at the expense of the closers like wanting their life to be easier.
So when I described a sales director looks ahead what needs to be done rather than just the day-to-day, that is exactly it. And what looks ahead is looking at leads and the way the calls are coming in very differently. A sales manager is going to protect his team and the closers are going to protect what they do every day. But a sales director is not there to protect the sales manager or just the sales team. They are there just to make decisions for the company to grow, because they care about the bottom line. A great sales director of a company doing 30 to 50 million or even 100 million, they can affect the bottom line massively just because of the decisions they make. Like one change in commission structure for the entire organization can result in millions in the bottom line in differences. So that's why hiring the right sales director is a big deal, and that's why they can charge you a 250K base. Yeah. And some sales directors these days are getting 7 figures a year because of the impact they have on a company.
Yeah. And it's crazy how such small changes that were kind of under your nose the entire time can give you such big leaps. Like the biggest breakthroughs we've had when I look back historically. So there was a month we went from 1.6 million to 2 million purely on the front end sales team. That's not even including back end. Like 1.6 to 2 mil the next month. That all we did was we removed a downsell. The AAV shot up and close rate remained the same. And then when I look back historically, like all these breakthroughs we've had month on month, it's always come from raising the price or like something like this, right? It's never been from just incrementally increasing close rate. And it's like, obviously things you should be focused on, but yeah.
What makes a good CEO is knowing the knowledge from dirt to cloud. And because you started it from the dirt and now you are overseeing everything, you just understand the context of your business. And I think that's what really makes a good CEO, knowing the context of sales, marketing, operations with such depth, and then finance, and then technology, IT, and now you're in e-com as well. That's what you have to do. You just have to be able to have all the knowledge from dirt to cloud. And when you have it, you have context and everything, and people can't bullshit you.
Yeah, it's just pattern recognition, right? And this is one of the biggest mistakes founders especially make, is they try and outsource to a marketing agency when they're doing 30, 40, 50K a month. So dude, you don't even understand marketing yet. Like you need to understand marketing or this agency is going to walk all over you. And you don't develop that pattern recognition that you're talking about that's actually going to help you be a better leader, a better CEO 3-4 years down the line.
Yeah, I've learned to stay away from a specific person, and that is an influencer who thinks they can just hire a marketing agency and a sales agency to do both. Yeah. They think their company will now grow just because they're going to hire someone. They think, I'm going to hire someone for marketing, someone for sales, and I have fulfillment. My business is going to grow. Yeah. And that always fails.
Yeah, 100%. For me, like because I grew this business from like maybe 0 to 100K a month with not really any personal brand. I maybe had like 2,000 followers or something like this. I'm so glad I was like forced to build the business that way, because I just had to learn like the grind, and I had to learn the ins and outs of like the actual intricacies, and not just like rely on like follow. Because like when you have 100K, 200K, 300K followers and you've got a big personal brand, like it's like business on fucking easy mode. You can get away with having a below par product, a below par sales process. Like you can get away with all of this, right? right? And I'm so glad I didn't have that when I started, because I just had to learn the hard way.
So did you not have the personal brand side of the business very early on?
No, so I had about 2,000 followers when I started.
And then the personal brand came in after?
The personal brand came after, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. I thought it was there from the start.
No. So I had about 2,000, and I mean, even Vanya, she's got like 1.7 million now. There's across all platforms, we probably got somewhere between 2.5 and 3 million followers. When we started, though, I mean, Vanya probably had a few thousand. She had less than me. She had maybe like 1 or 2,000. I had maybe like 2,000 just.
So she grew her organic whilst she grew the business.
That came after the business, yeah. Yeah, that came after the business.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing.
She actually joined in, but we were probably doing 60 to 80 when she joined.
Yeah.
And then she was focused more so on the personal brand. So hers like grew like wildfire. But yeah, and it definitely helped. But like we just also had like, I think it's why we make such a good partnership, because she's like got the personal brand. She's got the, like she does the coaching side of things, and I can just focus purely on like the systems, operations, marketing, sales, all this stuff.
And do you know how you were getting sales calls for free because of your low ticket? Do you think that still would have been the case without the personal brand? Because did you have the economics correct without the brand, or do you think the brand really helped you?
The low ticket, by the time we launched a low ticket funnel, we already had the personal brand. And did that help? Yeah, I think it probably did. But I also think a part of it was the offer, like the way we went to market and the messaging we went to market with. No one had really heard of it before. And even in like this niche that we're in and we went to market with, there were people out there doing it, but not really going hard on paid ads.
Yeah.
Like all the big time fitness offers that come from like big marketing backgrounds, sales backgrounds, are more like fat loss, six packs, whatever.
Yeah.
Obviously we're a completely different angle. And so we were kind of just like first to market with that angle.
And what's the goal now? You're doing supplements and e-commerce, you're doing e-com, you're doing app. Like how does this all fit into what you're doing?
Yeah, well, the end goal, I always like start with the end in mind. It's like, what's the end goal? The end goal, I want to have $1 billion valuation. When I look at all the fitness companies in this kind of space that have $1 billion valuation or more, they all have some form of low ticket subscription. And so that was the reasoning behind the app. We want to kind of centralize everything we have, because right now we're using that school or third party stuff, which is fine. It's good for community and things like this. But we want to like own everything to start with. It's also going to give us a lot more control over the ascension process. So that's kind of where the app came in. We've got a really good idea, concept for the app. It's going to be launching in a month or two. We've got the beta running right now with about 50 users. They will absolutely love it. So I can't wait to do that. We've got the high ticket side, which is really just like the cash flow engine that's going to fund all of this. It's like the more brand top of funnel style stuff. And then the e-com stuff, yeah, again, supplements, I want to get that to $1 million a month within the next 6 months. We're just about to launch that in the next week or so. And man, like something I've noticed going into e-com is like, and not to discredit e-com like, at all, is fucking hard, but like going from running a huge sales team to doing e-com, because I'm a marketer as well. And so like e-com is just like, just don't run out of stock. Like just be good at marketing, don't run out of stock.
Yeah.
That's it. Like there's no fucking sales team to worry about. I don't have to worry about 50 closes and all of this stuff. Like my business is reliant on them being in a good mood today and not having broken up with their girlfriend and whatever else. It's like, and so, yeah, I'm really looking forward to just being able to scale the supplement without relying on a big team.
When you find really good e-com founders and really good, let's say B2B education info founders, or even high ticket, the skill set is so different. One of them they just manage so many more people.
Yeah.
So, and look, even e-com is not easy, but I do find there's a big difference in the entrepreneurs. But I know some very intelligent e-com guys, they just understand brand very differently.
Yeah.
Where the guys in the info space, they understand people, sales team, and all is just so different.
Yeah, well, I mean, in the coaching business, no matter what type of coach you are, in the coaching business, your business is the sales team. Like whatever you're coaching, if you're doing sales leadership, if I'm doing fitness, like whatever, like that's just all the wrapper, the packaging. Yeah. Your real business is your sales team, like and your marketing, whatever. With e-com, like your business is really building the brand. Like that's what's going to give it the value, right? Because any good marketer can just white label a product or formulate a product and go to market and sell it, right? So it's going to be like, you can't win just purely on good marketing. You win on brand and having that big associations with big people. It's why brands like, AG1 are so big. It's why IM8 went from 0 to 100 mil in 11 months. They've got David Beckham as the face, right? It's just immediate trust and brand. So yeah, it's a different game. I'm excited to learn like all the nuances of it, and there is a bit of crossover. Like I always said, like growing the coaching business was like just a mechanism of growth. It taught me like marketing, it taught me sales, it taught me leadership, and just
They say e-com media buyers are 3 years ahead of info media buyers. Do you think that's true?
Say that again.
E-com media buyers are years ahead of info media buyers.
Well, so I guess e-com media buyers, if they have a good founder, have more freedom and more flexibility to scale ads further, right? So it's way more likely in e-com that you're going to have a media buyer spending 50, 100, 200K a day in spend. in a coaching business, you're capped by the sales team.
Availability on the calendar.
And availability of the calendar, right? So like if you're media buying, like, 10K a day in coaching is quite a lot. But 10K a day in e-com is nothing really.
Yeah.
And so like, I've not heard that saying before, but that may be where it comes from. Like in e-com, you can just scale it way further, way faster. Like I said, you just don't run out of stock.
Yeah, that is right. There's the stock on the sales team. That's why you're right about the sales team. It is the livelihood of any coaching business.
Yeah, 100%. Most business owners would be far happier as a closer. Tell me what you mean by that.
Think about the normal business owner that makes $3 million a year and makes 300-400K a year profit. He's managing a team. He's got all his stress, all his headache. He's trying to find a therapist to help him with his anxiety. He's pulling his hair out, but he's making $3 million a year. He's making 250K. He's bragging online on how much money he's making. Where this high ticket closer just comes out, sits on a calendar, is making 50K a month with no business to run, no risk, just shows up to a calendar and closes. The closer just has it so much easier. Yes, they're highly skilled in sales, but that $3 million a year founder, if he just stuck to sales, he would have just made so much, like he would have had his life way simpler, because not everyone needs to run a business. Not everyone has to build a big company. You can make money just closing.
Yeah, I also think that there's a bit of a false perception. It kind of looks like the only offers you hear about are the ones that are crushing it, right? And so it kind of seems like everyone with an offer is crushing it. What you don't see is all the shit that goes on behind the scenes. Like I had no idea. Like if I wasn't doing this, I would have no fucking clue how much work and how much shit you have to deal with day to day in actually running an offer. And when I first got into this space, I had no idea high ticket sales was even a thing. Like I was just selling coaching packages for like 2K, 3K. I had no idea it was high ticket sales. I didn't know that was a thing. If the industry had all the resources available, like for free online that it has now, I know what I know now, I think I would have gone down the route of closing for the reasons you say. Yeah. At least for a long time. I just think the skills you get from that are so valuable. Like you have control over how much you make just without 95% of the headaches and the BS.
I was a sales rep for half of my career. 8 out of the 16 years, I was sales, a setter and a closer. So I don't see anything wrong with working in sales. And most people who work in sales, they can't wait to open their own offer because it's glorified online.
Yeah.
They have no idea that 30K a month closer, when he starts his own business, he might be making 100K, but now he's taking 20K a month home, but he's working twice as many hours.
Yeah. Yeah, it's nice to be able to just focus on one thing and get really, really good at one thing. You just can't do that when you're running an offer. Like you have to wear so many different hats. And yeah, I'm glad I've done it now. But I had to eat shit for 2 years, 3 years before getting to it where it is now, right? And I think it's one of those things people have to get it out of their system, and then they find out for themselves the hard way that actually they just want to stick into closing or sales management or sales director, whatever it is. Which I think is like worth trying. But yeah, like we've had a lot of closers leave, try and do their own thing and end up coming back like 3-4 months later.
Well, I see nothing wrong with it. Look, when someone on our sales teams, look, we have hundreds of reps in all of these companies that we consult with and work with. If a closer says, I want to open my own business, we'll say, sure, give it a go. And the door's open for you when you come back. A sign of a good leader is not to hold people under your business and force them to stay. It's sometimes let them try their own thing.
Yeah. Exactly. That's the way I see it. And that's where I see leadership as well. It's just like treat your team as if they're your clients. Like your goal is to help them be as good as they possibly can be with their job, giving them the resources they need, giving them the tools, the attention, the accountability, the support, whatever that is. Your job is to make them be as good as possible. If that means they get as good as they can and then they're leaving and go and do something else, so be it. What's the alternative? Like you just keep average employees. Yeah. Right. And you don't help them get better.
Yeah. And I'd say for all of your staff, ask them, hey, how can I show up better for you? What can I do for you? Most CEOs, we demand so much from our team, but I think always ask your team members every few months, hey, what can I do to show up better for you?
Yeah, there's a difference I see amongst like really good leaders and not so good leaders that don't last. The really good leaders, or the leaders that don't last are ones that think their team is there to serve them. The good leaders are there to serve their team. Yeah. And it's just this mindset shift that allows you to show up in a completely different way with a completely different energy. It stops you micromanaging and like you're truly there with the best. You can hold people so much more accountable when you truly have their best interest in heart because they can smell it a mile off.
You know, I really don't get when people on Instagram say, hey, you have to own your own business. I would never work for someone. I would never be a 9 to 5. Well, why would someone ever work for you if you say this?
Yeah.
And I've seen so many people, they build their marketing on the messaging, which is, oh, he's a 9 to 5 and I would never be a broke. You'd never be a 9 to 5. Well, now you've just alienated everyone that's ever going to work for you. You'll be a terrible leader.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Well, what's the goal for you, man, with your offer?
I would say I don't really have an offer. I say I'm trying to build a company that stands for sales leadership, that is trying to be the best at sales management, that is trying to be a standout amongst people who are an industry where everyone can shout, who can come into, a closer can come in and say, I'm a sales manager. So in the content that I make, you can watch a 20-year-old kid go to sales management tomorrow and he could come across as the same as what we've done for 10 plus years. But our mission is very simple: make great sales leaders and build systems that run without the founder.
Awesome. Love it, man, which is such a big problem that needs solving. But thank you for coming on. And where can people find you?
So my socials are Usman Kiani Sales and my YouTube is USYKAY. So you can find me and you're on there. So if you've watched this and you enjoyed it, drop me a message and let me know that you enjoyed and you watched this podcast.
Love it.